All right, welcome back to the Hona podcast. Here we are. You got me, Justin, Eliza, and Andrew here to talk about all things health, fitness, lifestyle, nutrition, basically everything that the average human needs and wants, and to help better their lives and feel better. And obviously it's sponsored by Hona Fiber and Greens. So check us out at tryhona.com, tryhona.com. And I think I spelled that right. I'm not the mayor of Philadelphia where I spelled Eagles wrong. Did you guys see that?
No.
That was hilarious. She was like doing a news conference and she spelled Eagles wrong. Anyways.
So, I don't know how to spell Eagles.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I'm not necessarily an Eagles fan, but you know.
That's something you should know as the mayor.
My team is gone from the playoffs. So I'm just happy to sit back and watch. So Super Bowl Sunday's coming up, you know, playoffs are coming up. People are going to parties, eating a lot of crap food, probably.
I plan to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and we're not saying don't enjoy life and don't do those things, but you know, having the necessary precautions and supplements on hand to help you bounce back from those days and not take a glucose hit to where you're basically brain fogged and have to lay down for 24 hours to recover. You know, that's important.
Yeah, you don't want a food hangover when you go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
Or
So
just feel guilty about it.
yeah.
Ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about glucose today. We're going to talk about what glucose is, what it does, why it's important, why too much is not good, why too little is not good. And because everybody's kind of enjoying this time of year with those things and everything. And this is just good things to have in place. So Eliza, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is glucose?
Oh boy. So glucose is, I mean, when you eat anything, your blood sugar, glucose is in your blood. And the thing that brings it down is the insulin. So your pancreas.
It's a sugar.
Pancreas?
It's a carbohydrate.
Yeah. So pancreas creates insulin to counteract and to deliver the blood sugar or the sugar out of your blood into your cells.
Yeah. Converts it to energy.
Yeah. And so when you get spikes, that's when you're feeling, you get like a sugar rush or you get, a high energy, and then you get a crash sometimes because those two things are not in balance.
So if you ate a candy bar and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, and then, you feel that, your body's warming up, you feel maybe a little actually inflamed because glucose causes inflammation. And that's what carbohydrates do. They cause inflammation, and too much of that is a lot of inflammation. So if you have a lot of inflammation in your body and you notice a lot of inflammation after you eat something, that's probably because you have too much carbohydrates.
I feel like it goes in like steps, like you eat, which creates a dopamine dump because you like eating your sweets or chocolate. So you go from like 0 to really happy and full of energy. And then the inflammation kicks in, the insulin kicks in, and then you like crash out after that and get to grumpy. Pretty quick, right? Yeah. It's pretty fast.
Yeah. So your body takes in carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is a sugar, whatever, fructose, all these, simple sugars, whatever it is, and it converts it to glucose because that's what it needs to turn into energy. Your brain burns on glucose.
Yeah, you need it.
Your muscles absorb glucose. That's the primary source that your body needs. That's what it turns into. And so obviously having glucose on hand is really important to your body, and having it stored, because that's a survival technique. If your body's always thinking survival mode, that's why when we eat too much food, it stores it as fat. It doesn't just shut it down your colon and intestine and poop it out.
Yeah.
It's always, your body's always thinking survival. When's my next meal? Because as cavemen and people who we've been for hundreds of years, sometimes the next meal was not a guarantee for days on hand. And so as humans now, food is very readily available. There's a McDonald's, there's a KFC, tons of carbohydrates.
Yeah. So I look at it as like glucose is like gasoline, and you don't want your gasoline to get too low, and you don't want these spikes. So you want to keep a steady source of energy, and that's what glucose is. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I knew exactly how many times my car could stall before I would need gas. It was like 6 or 7 times, and then I would have to get gas. But you don't ever want to get into those, because that's when you feel like crap. So the whole point of it is keeping it steady instead of getting spikes. And so we've been following this lady called Jessie Enchaussepé. She's French. She's a French biochemist. She's the glucose goddess is how we'll refer to her, or Jessie. And she has hacks which I love that on how to keep your glucose steady instead of getting the spikes. And so we're going to go through the hacks. There's like 10 of them, which, I mean, you don't have to do every single one every day, but if you're just implementing a few of them, it's going to really help on your glucose. And it's just going to make you feel better and just feel more even keel, I think, because this all affects your brain. It all affects your mood. It affects depression, anxiety, all the things that everybody is dealing with today. This can help a ton with all of that. So the number one hack is, she says, eat foods in the right order, which is really interesting when you think about how foods are usually served to you, minus the bread that always comes to the table first where you're munching on bread. But what is generally the first thing served is like a salad.
Yeah. And right? Rolls.
That's what I say. Like, no rolls. Forget that. That's a stupid. That's just something.
Chips and salsa. Just eat the salsa, right?
Yeah. No, but so like you want to eat fiber first. You get fiber in.
Salsa.
Yeah, fiber, protein, fats, and then starches and sugar, which is why desserts always last.
Well, what's something that you do at home a lot is you eat carrot chips.
Mm-hmm. So I'll have them out while I'm making dinner and stuff. We'll have like a dip and carrots.
And you have carrot chips. And so
I'm so guilty of eating snacks while I'm cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But put that out. And then while you're cooking, you'll have, that's just the go-to. And I'll notice the kids wander in. I'll even have like sometimes berries sitting out too. But they'll wander in while I'm cooking and they'll just, they start snacking on whatever's there. So whatever I put there, they're going to eat.
Yeah, we like to leave out like if we're cutting bell peppers or something, we'll leave out a good chunk of them and salt them and eat that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I actually love that. It's
fiber,
so good.
then protein and fats, and then the starches and sugars. So just do it in that order. And you'll notice that you eat less of the starches and sugars, obviously, because you're full.
Well, what's also a hack that she talked about was that you take like a tablespoon of vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I can't stand vinegar, so that's probably not going on my list. But it was very interesting.
Okay, but what if you did your salad with a vinegar dressing?
Yeah, see, gross, vomit.
No?
Vinegar is actually really easy to take, like a tablespoon of it. Just even take it with some water. You just
dilute it.
Yeah, I've taken apple cider vinegar before. But that's like the most tolerable for me.
Why is vinegar, like, what is it about vinegar?
She just says it reduces the spike in your meal by up to 30%.
That is so interesting. Yeah. I wonder what the cause and effect is there.
I don't know. She says ideally 20 minutes before you eat.
Interesting.
So vinegar then you could say is more of a prebiotic type thing?
No idea. We need to look it up, but
it's
been around forever. I mean, like you look at, there's actual companies that's
there's all kinds of vinegar.
Sell.
There's red wine vinegar, there's apple vinegar. Mm-hmm. It's vinegar is actually pulled out of carbohydrate.
It's apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. So vinegar does something to your gut and I think sets the tone and the mood, just like fiber does.
Yeah. I was going to say, it probably has something to do with the GLP-1, just
yeah, because we know that fiber actually coats carbohydrates, so it makes the digestive uptake slower and thus doesn't cause an insulin spike. So maybe
slows the nutrient absorption.
Maybe vinegar is a prebiotic that feeds the gut biome and the gut bacteria to where it slows that down too, so it doesn't uptake it.
Research shows.
Well, I checked it right here real quick. I just Googled it, and it's really interesting. So slowing the gastric emptying. So it just basically makes food take longer to leave your stomach. Okay. So it just slows down the entire digestive process. Similar thing in the small intestine. There's a word here I don't know how to
I would probably compare that to like a stream of water then. It just you turn the faucet on a drip. Yeah. So your food's just dripping into your bloodstream versus you have a fire hose.
Yeah. Instead of just completely sucking it all up right away. It reduces starch digestion as well, and it increases glucose uptake, which is a really interesting perspective because we think too much glucose would be the problem, but it increases the capacity for your cells to hold the glucose is what it's saying. Okay. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. I had no idea.
That's good to
know.
So
those are two that we've gone through. Another one, and we kind of talked about this, but veggie starters. And she's just saying make veggies 30% of the meal. So just increase like 30, on your plate, make the veggie portion bigger.
Okay.
Than the others, I guess.
Well, I had an interesting experience yesterday. I paid attention because I did it on purpose. So I got Mobetta's, which is like one of my favorite places to eat.
So that's Hawaiian food.
Hawaiian food.
For those that don't know.
Yeah, Hawaiian food. So it's katsu chicken, which is a breaded chicken soaked in a spicy sweet sauce that's delicious and bad for you.
Yeah. White rice.
Carbs on top of carbs.
White rice and mac.
Yeah.
So
Carbs on
about
top of carbs.
about as bad for you as you can get, and as delicious for you as you can get. But so I drank Hona on the way to get it, and I just noticed that like I didn't feel like bloated. I didn't feel like, it's kind of gross, but gassy, like a burp a lot after I eat a big carb meal like that, and like bloating.
Did you
I guess.
eat any less?
No,
You still pounded it.
I have an obsession with Mobetta's. It's like so good. So yeah.
But you didn't get a spike, is what you're saying.
I didn't feel a spike. I didn't feel a rise and a crash. I didn't feel bloating or inflammation. I actually felt fine, which was kind of interesting because usually I feel like, you know,
you had some Hona before that, probably.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I drank Hona before that, and you know, so having that, like, you know, 8 grams of fiber, 7 grams of fiber in there, and it was just like 15 minutes before I ate it, and so it made a big difference. Usually I feel like really happy for a minute, just like we were talking about, and then I just feel like really, really tired. So I don't typically eat it for lunch.
The crash.
The crash, yeah, and then like from 2 to 4 o'clock, I'm just like barely keeping my eyes open. But I felt great yesterday. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, real world.
So this goes with
story.
the veggie thing right there. Just saying that, like, if you consume a fiber ahead of your meal, seems to help.
Yeah.
It helps regulate the glucose spike.
Yep. There you go.
In the crash.
And I wasn't any fatter this morning, so I think I was okay.
Yeah. Also, too, the thing with glucose that, you know, is important to note, you know, sugar, carbs is what feeds cancer and feeds cancer cells and tumors. And so too much glucose is one, it causes more inflammation. So it's also heart disease because, you know, all that buildup of plaque and everything on your arteries and veins is a problem too, which comes with too much glucose, too much sugar, carbs intake. And then obviously the issue with cancer. And so, you know, one of the biggest takeaways that we know from people that have tumors and all that is the studies that we've researched and looked up that says, cancer eats the tumors, and the cancer cells feed off of glucose. So too much excess glucose in your body is a bad thing.
Yep.
So, you know, almost being to a carnivore, ketogenic type of lifestyle is basically the best ideal situation to be and to avoid, once again, too much glucose leads to type 2 diabetes. And we know where your insulin is just spiking in it so much, your body's just like, okay, I can't produce enough. I can't deal with this. And you have what we call now, and we know a lot of people suffer with this type 2 diabetes. We have a lot of, you know, family members who have gotten type 2 diabetes.
And pre-diabetes. Like I just heard the other day, 90% of America suffers from pre-diabetes, which basically is just higher blood sugar, just in general.
That just can't be managed by the body naturally?
I think they just don't manage it.
Oh.
So they're just creating their own, you know, and so they call it pre-diabetes because technically you're not at the level where they'll diagnose you as having diabetes, but you're headed there. So,
you know, waking up, having a sugary, warm beverage, whether it's coffee or tea or whatever, mixed with some bread, you know, all that, all of a sudden you caused an insulin spike first thing in your day. And then you go to work and you're like crashing, you're starving and you're like, okay, I'm going to lunch, and you go and grab a sandwich or a burrito and whatever at the place, Mobetta's Hawaiian food, you know, and then you just added more sugars, more glucose to your body, another insulin spike, and then you're going to go home and eat a meal, and you're probably going to want to have a treat with that or dinner, you know, and you're like, oh, well, I kind of ate good today. I only had 3 meals. I didn't snack much. And it's like, dude, you just did this and this and this, you know, with your insulin levels all throughout the day.
So here's you just mentioned 3 of her hacks. Basically, one is stop counting calories, because not all calories are the same. You can't just eat a bag of Doritos for, you know, however many calories, and it's the same as eating a chicken breast and veggies of those same. So stop counting calories as if they're the same.
Yeah.
And then a savory breakfast. You just talked about how you wait. What our normal breakfast has become sweet, which is we're eating dessert for breakfast, and that's a total American thing.
Yeah.
But she says a savory breakfast. So starting with something that's eggs is a real easy one. And
savory, explain savory.
Savory instead of sweet. So
what does savory
salty
mean?
And more protein, fats, and fiber.
Real food.
Yeah. So I would say an example.
Animal fats and protein.
Yeah. So I would say an example is avocado toast. If you get like a good, a small piece of toast that's whole grain. Sourdough is good if it's real sourdough. And then, some avocado for healthy fats and eggs. There you go. And you'll notice that it keeps you fuller longer than waking up and having a muffin and a latte. Like you're just going to be able to go longer and it's just going to satiate better.
Well, avocado toast on sourdough sounds pretty awesome.
I know. Just make sure that the piece of toast isn't that big. Because we get sourdough and you pull out a piece and you're like, I'm pretty sure this is not just a piece.
Yeah.
So you do have to control yourself. But then I was going to say dessert over a sweet snack. And when you eat dessert, like obviously dessert is supposed to be at the end of a meal and it helps.
And dessert shouldn't be every day, folks.
Yeah.
Like it should
Our
be.
Kids think so.
Dessert should be saved for the weekends. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. If you're going to eat it, and it can be, yogurt.
Yeah.
During the week, if you want something afterwards, unsweetened yogurt with some berries.
Yeah, but she's saying that you do it. It's better to have a dessert after a meal than a sweet snack in between meals.
Oh, interesting.
Like she said, because the order of it, where you've already got your, your protein and your fats and your fiber inside of you, to have dessert after that is better than having, at 3:00 going, I just want to have a Haagen-Dazs bar,
Well, too, if you get fats in the beginning, you're bound to eat less carbs because fats are more filling. A gram of fat is like 9 calories, I think.
Yeah.
And a gram of protein, a gram of carbs is like 4 calories. Mm-hmm. So there's more calories in 1 gram of fat than there is in protein, and carbs. And so it's more, you get more energy. Once your body registers that and you give it 5 minutes to register a tablespoon of fish oil or a tablespoon of peanut butter and stuff like that, you're like, oh, okay. I'm not craving the carbs as bad.
It depends on the type of fats because you can just say that and somebody's like, oh, I'm going to look at this, Little Debbie and see how much fat's in it. Oh, look.
No, I'm talking like a real fat source.
Fats.
Like
avocado.
Like olive oil, avocado.
Coconut oil. That's probably the only one I could stomach to eat by itself.
Fish oil, stuff like that. Like if you took a
castor oil. No, just kidding.
Are you pregnant? If you take a tablespoon of vinegar with like coconut or avocado or something like that before a meal, you are setting yourself up to eat good and like not eat gross food. You'll start to not crave that stuff that you would regularly crave.
And if you have to snack, go savory over sweet. And you'll notice that when you do have a good source of jerky, that's low, not this super processed stuff, but or cheese or anything that's, more savory than sweet, you'll notice that you don't want the sweet after that because your body is just wanting something and, it can't, you have to decide what it wants.
Yeah, I'll have to try that out because it definitely is my brain saying sweet, eat a chocolate or
and they're more convenient half the time too.
Yeah, like M&Ms.
Yep. And then, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say after you eat, move.
Yes, that's a big one. That's actually what I was going to talk about next is once you eat, a lot of people want to just go camp out on the couch.
Yeah.
After you have dinner, like, oh, don't do that. Like even after you eat lunch, go for a 10-minute brisk walk. Because that limits that insulin spike because your body's taking in, you're burning glucose storage that you have. So your body needs to replenish that in your muscles and it, your blood sugar levels drop with exercise because your body's burning glucose to feed your muscles. So you can actually, exercise. So by
your metabolism,
doing that 10-minute brisk walk, you're keeping your blood sugars down. Your body's able to absorb the glucose, the carbs you take in and convert it back into, good glucose that you want and need to use and not into your liver where it converts it to fat. Right.
Yeah.
And then if you are going to eat carbs, if you're just like, I'm just craving something, she says, put clothes on your carbs. So don't just eat them plain. Don't just grab crackers, but grab some cheese with the crackers. Put some protein, fats, or fiber.
That's a good point.
Like an apple. If apple's sweet, I love having an apple in the afternoon with peanut butter. So
so good.
Throwing the apple in.
That's a good point. Let's talk about what are some of the things then you should eat, like to help out with not having this. I think we talked about savory. Why not have, I mean, you can buy them at Costco or anything. You can buy the egg bites that come mixed with like bacon and cheese and just heat it up for 30 seconds. It's good to go. We're all busy. We're talking to people that have professional lives, families. You're busy. You just need to go. Boiled eggs. You can buy boiled eggs that are ready to go at any supermarket, at any Costco. And all you need to do is grab 3 of those, put some salt, grab some Celtic salt or Himalayan pink salt. Yeah. There you go, getting minerals that your body needs. Little hot sauce, boom. You know,
hot sauce. Key.
Cottage cheese is huge right now. You can put cottage cheese with almost anything. If you, I mean, some people can't
cottage cheese is delicious. Actually,
my wife, she likes. She says there's a distinct difference in the flavor between large curd and small curd. Have you noticed that?
I haven't, but I know some of them are more salted than others too.
Yeah. And believe it or not, large curds can be hard to find. So I don't know if that's because it's a health thing.
What are some of the things you mix with cottage cheese?
You can do any type of fruit with cottage cheese. You can do any type of berry with cottage cheese. Meat wise and protein wise, I don't know. I mean, it's already
you add protein. It to eggs too, don't you?
Oh, I always add it to, like, our scrambled eggs. I will put cottage cheese first in the blender, so that you don't even know it's in there. And you don't have to. If people don't mind the curds, do it that way too. But yeah, I always add that as my, instead of milk or water, whatever you add to it. Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
It makes them so fluffy too.
Oh yeah.
Super. Yeah.
You add it to protein pancakes that you make too.
Protein pancakes. Anytime you can blend it up and do it. Like, I use it anytime there's sour cream or cream cheese in something. You can blend up cottage cheese. It's going to taste a little different. It's going to taste healthier. But like our ranch dressing, we don't buy ranch dressing anymore at the store. I make it with cottage cheese instead of mayonnaise.
Oh.
So ranch dress. Yeah. Just like the powdered ranch.
Yeah, we buy the powdered ranch. We mix it with sour cream. It's really good.
Oh, and if you get online, it is like cottage cheese mania. You can find any recipe that's using cottage cheese.
Well, and that's a good point. Maybe like on the comments, we'll post a couple of these recipes that you make for your scrambled eggs and like protein pancakes, so people can get those as well. So.
Yeah. You just have to think ahead, have stuff prepared and have stuff in your fridge, so you're not going for, the convenient stuff. So
people, keep your glucose levels down.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't pound a bunch of, carbohydrates. Your body, it's not good for it. Insulin spikes. It's unhealthy. It causes issues with blood pressure, with heart disease, cancer. All the things are leading to too much simple carb intake. So keep it down.
And my main takeaway from this that I loved is everybody is looking for weight solutions. And, obviously that's one big thing that this affects. But it also affects your brain, huge.
Hormonal.
Anxiety, depression, hormones is enormously affected by your glucose levels and if you're more stable and you're not having the spikes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Andrew, anything else to add?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, hit us up with any comments or questions. We are more than happy to answer them on the next show and talk about anything. Thanks, guys. Thanks for following us.